Hey everyone, welcome back to Wealthy Mentor Trading. Today is April the 4th, 2021. Today I'm going to be looking at SPX, S&P 500, the targets to the upside, some targets to the downside, and where I see it going. Last week we had a pretty bullish week. We did finally break that psychological resistance at 4,000. We also did push up as high as 4,020, hitting my targets of 4,010 and 4,020 respectively. Today, I will be looking at ES futures and see where it's heading currently. I'm also going to be looking at our watch list names like Apple, NVDA, Tesla, Netflix, Facebook, and a bunch of other ones that I see movements heading into next week. Okay, I am just going to switch over here to the ES chart. But before I do that, please like this video, share it with your friends. Also head over to thewealthymentor.net and check out our Discord trading group. We offer great monthly memberships. If you are a seasoned trader, if you're a beginner, or if you were looking just to learn how to trade, it's definitely something that will benefit you. So give us a look at thewealthymentor.net and check out our Discord trading group. Okay, heading into right now, I'm just going to switch over here to the ES chart to see where futures has landed. And as you guys can see here, we are slightly higher on futures, 0.54%. So that's pretty good heading into tomorrow. Switching over quickly back to the SPX chart. I have targets of 4,030, 4,050 as my two targets heading into next week. We do have resistance at 4,020, which is exactly where we ended off on Thursday. Friday was a shortened week due to Good Friday. So Monday, I'm looking at that 4,020 mark, 4,030 my first take profit, and 4,050 would be my second take profit. If we do see weakness, I am looking at that 4,000 psychological support. If we cannot hold that support, I am looking at targets of 39.80 as my first one and 39.60 as my second one. I'm just going to switch over here to the 4-hour chart to give you guys an outlook. As you guys can see here, beautiful breakout right above that 39.80 area, which we had trouble breaking down here on March the 17th, dipping as low as 38.50 before ultimately breaking pretty strong on tough volume as well, right over that $4,000 mark and pushing as high as 4,020. So I am looking at continued moves to the upside, especially with the announcement with Biden's infrastructure plan. That was really bullish for the market. So heading into next week, definitely keep an eye on the jobs numbers. Also look to see if all market sectors are moving in together, such as QQQ. It has had a pretty tough time recently, and I am just going to switch over here to QQQ, which is a tech sector. And as you guys can see here, we are at critical resistance right here, which is that 326 mark. This is the ETF, by the way, guys. What's it called? The tech sector ETF. So definitely look over that 326 mark, right, to gauge to see where the S&P 500 is. Definitely QQQ is one of those key indicators to see where the market is going, and we are at critical resistance right now. So if we do break that 326 mark, look for that 330 and 335 mark to be retested again. As you guys can see here, we did have a high of 339, and since then we did drop down to the 300 area. And here we are testing this strong resistance. So look for that to break to also gauge to see where the market is going. So if we have a strong QQQ sector, which is one of the market leading indicators, if the Dow Jones is doing good, the financial energy sector, definitely look for SPX to push to that 4,050 mark as I outlined just right here. Okay, so that is SPX on the 4-hour time frame and my outlook going into next week. Okay, guys, the first name I want to look at today is Apple. ticker AAPL. Here we are on the 4-hour time frame. Again, guys, not much happening with Apple. As I mentioned the past few streams, I am looking at that 127.50 area and that 129 area as key levels for an entry. If you are more of a conservative trader, heading into Monday, I am looking at that 124.50 mark to break. If that were to break, my targets to take profit would be that 127.50 and that 129 area. Like I said, if you'd like to avoid all this, and if you're a more conservative trader, definitely look above the 129, 130.50 area for potential take profits of 133 and 135. To the downside, we do have strong support at 116, and we also have strong support at 117.50. So those are two areas where I can see the market, where I can see Apple heading to if we do see market weakness. Keep in mind, guys, Apple does tend to move with the market. So if we do see weakness in the market, look for Apple to also push down as lower. Okay, that is Apple on the 4-hour time frame, and I am no longer bullish or bearish. I'm sort of neutral until I see that 127.50 and above break. Okay, next name that I'm going to look at is NVDA, NVIDIA. Nice push on NVIDIA last week. It was a shortened week, and we are at critical resistance right here, which is that 560 area. We did close last week's Thursday session at that 552. So heading into next week, my first confirmation would be that 560. My second confirmation and my entry area would be that 566 for take profits at 578 and 589. As you guys can see here, we did wick up here and got rejected by 600, right? And then we had huge sell volume right here, right? Pushing the price down, and eventually we did have lows at 464, and here we are retesting this area, which is critical in my opinion, is that 560 to 565. So definitely look over those two areas for the 578 and 590 as take profits. If we cannot break these areas, definitely look for that retest at 535. As you guys can see here, it was the breakout point, which was strong resistance that we couldn't break on the 16th of March, on the 22nd of March, and finally on the 31st of March, we finally broke through. So if we do see weakness in the market tomorrow and in the semiconductor area, definitely look for a retest of that 535 area. If we stop here and hold that 535 and move forward, I'm pretty bullish on NVIDIA, because right now, if that does happen, it means that we are strong and buyers have stepped in to hold that support at 535. So if 535 cannot hold, I am looking at areas back down to the 520 and to the 500, 500 to 510 as my two take profit areas to the downside. However, I am bullish on NVIDIA, and I am looking at retests of that 590 mark going into next week. Okay. All right, guys, that is NVIDIA on the 4-hour time frame. The next name, Tesla, TSLA. Tesla has been quite volatile to the upside and to the downside, so there's definitely a lot of plays if you are an options trader. Heading into next week, I am looking at that psychological $700 mark, just because we've had rejection right here on the 17th, once more right here on the 22nd, and we did not make it quite up to the $700 area, but again, we did get rejected closing last week's session on Thursday at that 658 area. Going into next week, the first area that I'm looking at for a break is that 665. So if that were to break, I am looking at 682 as my first take profit. 690 to 700 is my second take profit. Okay. If you are a safer trader and don't want to get caught up into this mix, I definitely would look at over the $700 area for 710 and 720 and 730 for take profit zones. To the downside, we do have that 650 area as support. As you guys can see here, judging by how the structure of this pattern looks like, it looks like we are going to be testing that 650 area. If 650 gets broken, 640, 630, and 620 are my target zones to the downside if you are shorting. Okay. I am going to switch over here on the daily time frame for Tesla just to give you guys an outlook of where I see it. And again, guys, it's pretty clear that that $700 area is clear resistance, and it is psychological resistance. These type of stocks like to move in round numbers. So 700 above that, and if we can stay above that, I'm pretty bullish on Tesla. But at the moment, the trend is your friend. And as you guys can see here, we did have all-time highs, right, at that $900 area, and we've been heading lower ever since. So to start a new trend, definitely look over that $700 area to see if Tesla's on the upside, the healthy side. Okay, that is Tesla on the 4-hour and the daily time frame. Another name I'm going to be looking at is Netflix. NFLX is the ticker. Here we are on the 4-hour time frame. Netflix was pretty bullish last week. As you guys can see here, we do have clear resistance at that 542 area. Big push down. Sorry, big push down at that 552 area where we couldn't break, heading as low as 500, and here we are testing that critical resistance at 542. So if we do see 542 break, look for take profit areas of 552 and 556. If we do break 556, 565 is my third take profit area. However, just looking at this chart, you do know that there are two critical resistance points on the shorter term time frame, and that would be that 552, and my second one would be that 556. So if you're not quite sure if you want to enter on the break of 542, definitely look for the break above 556 for a safer entry. To the downside, if we do get rejected tomorrow at that 552 area, like how we did over here on the 23rd of March, definitely look for areas to be retested at 530, 522, and 512. If 530 were to break, shorting opportunity, my first take profit would be that 522, 512 would be my second one. If we do see continued market weakness, definitely look for 500 to be retested the third time. Once here on the 8th of March, another time on the 26th of March, and potentially if we do have market weakness, once more right here. Okay, so that is Netflix to the upside and to the downside heading into next week. Another name of significance is Facebook. Facebook is pretty bullish right now. We are approaching all-time highs, which was that 307 area. So heading into next week, I am looking at that break of 302. Right? If 302 were to break, I am looking at 307 and 310 as my take profit areas. If 310 were to break with convincing volume and market strength, definitely look for that 315 area as your third take profit. Okay. If things don't go as planned and we get rejected at that 302 area, definitely look for 297 as your first confirmation, not the short at 297, but this is your first confirmation, right? If that were to break, your next confirmation would be that 291 to 288 area. If that were to break, I am looking at my first take profit area when I'm shorting at that 282 to 280 area. So this would be my first take profit. As you guys can see here, we do have support here. So if you are shorting and it goes to plan, please take profits right here and then reevaluate your position. If 280 does break, definitely look for 274 as your second take profit area, and that is on Facebook on the 4-hour time frame. Okay, and I'm pretty bullish on Facebook, as you guys can see. Switching over to the 1-day, uh, you know, we're basically at all-time highs here, and depending on how the market acts tomorrow, and how the tech sector acts tomorrow. Definitely look for Facebook to retest all-time highs at 304, 305. Okay, keep that in mind, guys. Another name heading down our watch list is Zoom. Keep in mind, guys, these names get updated every single day before market open. If you are a member at Wealthy Mentor Trading, you're definitely going to get advantage to keep yourself up to date on current events, on analyst upgrades. So these names get updated every single day. So what might seem bullish today might be bearish tomorrow, depending on how the market opens. But if you are part of the trading group, you definitely get, you know, hands up close action on what's happening pretty much instantly every single morning. Okay, so here we are on Zoom on the 4-hour time frame. Not much happening on Zoom again. We're still under that 356 area that I mentioned a few streams ago. Um, Going into Monday, 342 would be my first area. If that were to break, for potential take profits at that 356 and 366 area. However, I do not like the pattern of Zoom at the moment. And as you guys know, this is one of those names that really succeeded during the pandemic. Again, it does have strength still. As you guys know, there has been increasing numbers, COVID cases around. So names like Zoom and Peloton definitely would see an uptick if lockdowns were to take place again. So heading into next week, I am looking at that 342 for a breakout. To the downside, if 325 can't break, I am looking for a retest at that 305 area. This would be my first take profit area if 325 were to break. If 305 cannot hold, as you guys can see, held here once on the 8th and once more here on the 30th of March. If that can't hold, my second take profit would be that 290 area. Okay, so that is Zoom on the 4-hour time frame, and I am neutral on Zoom, but more towards bearish, um, striving towards that. Okay, another name I want to look at is Roku, ROKU. Again, this is another name on our trading watch list, our daily watch list. Here we have Roku on the 4-hour time frame. Big wick right here shows that we got rejected. So heading into next week, 340 is the first area that I'll be looking at. If that were to break, my second confirmation would be that 345 area. 350 would be my first take profit area, and 360 would be my second take profit area. If things don't go as planned and we do get rejected at that 345, 340 area, which is very highly possible, as you guys can see here, it is strong resistance, which was previous support back on March the 19th, March the 17th, and was the breakout point on the 9th of March. So that 340 area is definitely an area to look at. So definitely look for volume to increase at that area for a breakout. So I'll be looking at that 345 on the break of that. My first take profit 350, second take profit 360. To the downside, if things don't go as planned, 332 is short-term support. However, that will be my first confirmation, not my shorting entry. My shorting entry would be that below that 320 area. If 320 area breaks, right, my first take profit would be that 310, and my second take profit would be that 300. And this is where I would close my position, just because we've bounced off this level previously, and it is psychological support, which is a nice round number at $300. Okay, so that is Roku to the upside and to the downside heading into next week. Another name, much like Zoom, PTON, Peloton. Again, if we do see lockdowns again or a third wave, definitely look for Peloton to succeed in this market condition. And my entry areas and the areas that I'm looking at would be that 117.50 to 120. As you guys can see here, we have been rejected once, right? The second time we couldn't even make it up to there. I still count that as a rejection. As you guys can see the shape of this candle, right? This is a 4-hour candle. We did get rejected and pushed back down below that 114 support, 114 resistance, sorry. And once more here, we tried to break it. And as you guys can see here, now we got rejected at that 117.50 area and closed Thursday's session at 112. So heading into next week, my first confirmation would be the break of 114. My entry would be 117.50. My take profit would be 120. My next take profit would be 122.50. If we are really bullish, definitely look over that 126 area to break for a trend change on PTON. Okay. To the downside, we have a terrible week. Look at 111 as support. If support breaks, that would be your first confirmation. Your second confirmation, not your entry, would be that 109. If 109 would break, I would short down to the 106 area as my first take profit area. And my second take profit area would be that $100 area, which we did have support here. As you guys can see, big long wicks means buyers have stepped in and held that support area of 100. One's over here on the 4th of March, another time over here on the 25th of March. So if you are shorting, guys, close your second position at that 100 and then reevaluate to see if you can enter. Okay, that is Peloton on the 4-hour time frame. Another name I'm going to be looking at is Square, which is closely correlated to Bitcoin's action. Bitcoin is still stagnant around that 57,000, 58,000 area. So if we do see a price increase in Bitcoin or we do head to all-time highs, definitely look for Square to also make a move. So heading into next week, 237 would be my first confirmation. My second confirmation would be that 240 break, 240 and a half. If we break that, I would take profits at 245. My second take profit would be that 250 and a half. And my third take profit would be 255 and a half. If you want to be more safe, don't want to get caught up into this action, or you are not an options trader, you're more of a swing trader, definitely look over that 255 area to be safe. To the downside, if we cannot hold 230, 227 support, which would be my first confirmation, 229 and a half, 227 and a half. If these two confirmations break, definitely look for a push down to 222.50 as your first take profit shorting opportunity. Your next take profit shorting opportunity would be that 220.50 to 217 level. Okay, so that is Square on the 4-hour time frame. Another name I'm going to be looking at, Boeing. BA is the ticker. Nice week we had last week on Boeing. We did bounce off that 234 area, and we do see ourselves just above support at that 253 area. We closed Friday's session. Going into next week, 560 would be my first area to break. If 560 were to break, I would take profits. My first take profit area would be that 268 and a half. My second take profit area would be that 275. And if we're really bullish, 280, which we did hit here back on the 15th of March to be retested once more. Okay. If we cannot break through to the upside, to the downside, we do have 250 as my first confirmation of support. If that were to break, my second confirmation would be that 244 to 242. If that were to break, I would take profits. My first take profit area would be 237. My second take profit area would be that 234 mark. We did have a big green candlestick right here, basically saying that buyers are strong at this area. So if you are shorting, definitely close out your position here, much like the other names that I mentioned, and reevaluate. Don't be greedy and try to get to the other areas. It doesn't work that way. Okay, so that is Boeing on the 4-hour time frame. One last name, guys, that I want to speak about is NIO, NIO. Here we are on NIO. We did have a nice bounce on NIO. the EV sector was doing pretty well, and obviously NEO was one of them. Strong support at that $32 area and that $36 area, which we did hit here on March the 5th. And once more here, we did hold that support area on the 29th of March. Last week, we pushed as high as that $43 area before breaking down below support at 40.5. So going into next week, first confirmation would be that 40.50 area. If that were to break, my entry would be above 43. My take profit would be 45 and 47. We do have strong resistance right here, so I would definitely take profits at 47 unless I see increased volume. EV sector is off the hook, going crazy. Market conditions are great. We have an analyst upgrade. Stuff like that would make me hold on and actually double down on my position. However, if these areas or if those catalysts are not present, definitely just look for retest of those areas of 45 and 47 to take profit, then reevaluate if we do see a breakout and enter at that $47 area for potential take profits at 49 and 51. Okay. To the downside, like I mentioned earlier, 36 is strong support. If 36 were to break, 32 would be my first take profit area. If 32 were to break, 30 is my second take profit area. However, I do not see NEO going lower than 36 to 32. As again, I've mentioned, we did have strong support here back in March. So I am expecting that to hold once more. Okay, guys, those are all the names that I wanted to discuss heading into next week. Please give this video a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and also check back on our Instagram page where we offer free information, breaking news on certain stocks, and it's definitely a place to get some information and learn for free. Okay. Also, check out thewealthymentor.net if you want to join our trading group. We also do have a refresher mini course on technical analysis called Trading Candlesticks. Check that out. It's a great investment into your future, especially if you are interested in trading to become a full-time trader or if you want to learn the markets. Okay. Thanks, everyone. We'll see you next week. Bye.